All right, I'm gonna pick back up right here, because the idea is that um, we did get this into its own file, but now the idea is we want this to actually compile. Like when I F12 on it, it doesn't find anything, and that's because I have removed this from compilation. But we don't really want that. So we want it to not be compiled because it's intentionally doesn't compile. Um, but we do want to be able to play with it from time to time. So I'm just going to start with this implementation mode. I'm going to call this true. And so this will be item group condition equals uh, I never understood exactly why they do it this way, but that's fine. Um, okay, false means this should, got means that we're not implementing a test, so it shouldn't. Uh, okay, so it shouldn't be compiling. Great. Now, if we want to implement a test, we switch this to true, and this will start showing up, and we'll see a red underline maybe one day. Yeah, not clear why the analyzers aren't picking it up, but that's not the point. So, okay. So I think generally I'm okay with this right now. It'd be really nice if we could figure out how to get it removed. Uh, didn't mean to do that. We could get it to like show up in the IDE as compiling, but at compile time it doesn't. That would be like the ideal in my opinion. Um, and I guess the other thing is we want this in its own folder. Fascinating. I don't quite get what is wrong about that. If it's false, it is false, then none include this. under v2 system. All right. I definitely don't understand what was different a second ago, but that's not really a problem. Cool. So see if we can find a let's build property. Um, and if compiling in Visual Studio. So okay. But does compilation itself actually work? I would guess not because yeah, okay. So I'm looking actually to see if like uh, real-time compiler is running. Um, so I want it disabled for real-time compiling, but otherwise I want it um, to not be included. Let's see, what else do we have here? Current properties during execution. There we go. Properties position outside target elements are assigned to emit a property. The task element must have a child output element. Great. Oh, property group. And put a okay. Great. So what if we do this? So test implementation node here is true, but when we're actually building, it's going to be false. Okay, so we've got this showing up here, but what happens when we build? No, didn't trick it. Um, well, did I do this right? Um, Overriding the before build. Project use SDK attribute change. Okay. Okay, so this still shows up when we compile. Okay, still has an error. Okay, so it does run. Yeah, I'm gonna guess that item groups are just evaluated up front. No, because then it wouldn't really make sense to change a property unless I guess a different target is depending on the property. Hmm. Yeah, okay. Or assigned. So this properties. So using this language, what I want to know is are item group conditions um, evaluated um, during the evaluation phase or during the execution phase? Oh, Okay, so let's see what's happening here then. So in here, okay, that's showing up correct. Now does this compile? It successfully compiles. Crazy. Okay. So now the question is this a good thing? What I've done here. So um, I'm not so convinced. Uh, but you know what? I think I'm gonna go with it. And if I don't like it, I can change it later. Okay. Now can I remove this? Oh, cannot. And that's correct actually, because up here, yeah, okay. So I guess my question here is, do I actually like, can't I just do this? Hmm. I'm gonna just make a note to think it through later. So we have internals visible to an odd trotter 4 so that you can test argument no inline, but you needed to add a link in the test project so that you could conditionally make it public so that the Roslyn SFE C sharp script class could let you test it. This means that you don't actually need the internals visible to the want to remove it. And if you do remove it, then do you need the entire oddtrotter core test internals project? Okay. So now let's actually load this up. So I've been talking that I wanted this to be a none, but really I want it to be an embedded resource. So embedded resource here. So this is what we actually want to remove it from compilation, and then we want it to be an embedded resource. Whoa. Where'd you go, friend? I see. Okay. So hopefully, let's see. So, okay, this doesn't continue to show up. That's a bummer. Can you not have both? You can have that, but does this actually correctly work? Okay, it does. Wow, weird. Um, oh, well, maybe then I want this. That still shows up. Does this still compile? That still compiles. So what do I actually want this to look like then? Um, I wonder if there's a way that I can define the paths. What in the world? Why did this get added? Oh, maybe that's the whole problem. Yeah, that was the problem. Okay. Move best resources. Okay. So then can I go back to the SDK style here? Okay, that builds. This still shows up. So then really the only question I have now is it showing up as correctly showing up as an embedded resource? So uh, good, okay. So I've done the embedded resource thing probably 100 times, and I can never remember all the nuances. And it's like the sort of thing where the nuances can't be abstracted because they're um, like the person who's using the code, that abstraction needs to understand what they need to do in their project. So and it's all convention driven. So it's like, are my conventions really any better than the embedded resource conventions? And the answer is no. So, but let's see, C sharp embedded resource. Okay, we got the assembly. This resource stream. You know what? Actually, I'm gonna take a guess, a stab at it. I think it's calendar v2 dot system dot play dot cs. And we'll see if that uh uh go resource stream. Um, so then so let's see. Now what happens? This test should pass. And it did. Great. Yeah. So this like all right, let's abstract this. Um So, and we still don't have assembly. So, sorry, fine. Let's make this not static. Uh, Great. So, uh, oh, oh, okay. Okay. So, the thing about trying to abstract this is, first of all, the person using our abstraction here needs to know that to get at this thing, uh, you needed all of these concatenated by periods. Um, and it's made worse by the fact that you can absolutely put a period in this name here. So um, let me undo that. Oh, what did I change over here? What did I? That was really, really dumb of me. Hopefully, changing it back will fix everything. Okay, great. All right, and then save. All right, good. Um, so we couldn't make these static because we needed to, sorry, back to the convention part. So this can have a period in it, and so like it's just it's exactly these things, but also you like for example, if you had a folder, to me, I don't actually know what happens here, but if you had a folder, let me commit. So like what happens if you have this? Uh, let's actually undo that one and do something more direct. So what happens when you have this and you also have uh, this and you put play in here? Like these are the same paths. In fact, let's just try it out. See how this test method. This get type dot assembly dot get resource names, and then let's just double check that these both have. This yeah should not be compiled. This should be embedded resource. Okay, so now let's check out what the names are. Calendar V2 system. Argument null inline compilation test resources. Oh, okay. Oh, cool. It doesn't even compile. Okay, so there's no ambiguity. We just don't allow it. Nice. Um, well, so I guess that's slightly better, but regardless, you need to know that you need to know that, and this is really the only confusing part of it to me. But then also you need to be able to get at the assembly, and so once we do that, what have we really put on top of all of this? We've simply known to call this, and then known that a text reader can turn it into a string. Uh, Yeah, I just I'm gonna have so many. All right, you know what? Actually, let's do it. This can be static, and now this can be static by providing the assembly. uh, get resource stream assembly, and now uh, have it string get resource string path. Return get resource string assembly path. Okay. Okay. Right. Okay. And now it passes again. Come back over here, and this looks like it's not compiling, which is very helpful for writing the code. Okay. Fair enough. All right. So this does provide a modicum of value, and I can always document how you should come up with path here. And I think I will. I usually, in this repo, I've been avoiding all of the XML doc. I've been only doing the exception documentation, but for this case, I think I'm going to properly document what path is supposed to be. Um, and it kind of gives us this convenience here. And then these, if needed elsewhere, can be extracted, refactored somewhere else, um, or into a more common location, maybe even test core, I don't know. And then this each individual test class can actually just have this line. Um, and I wonder if there's a macro for this actually. So I'm gonna search for a macro for that. Um, so C sharp macro. Are they not called name of macro? Expression. Okay. Um, C sharp parameter attribute for calling assembly. Invoked. So let's actually just play this through. There's let's say we put it here. Uh, assembly dot get calling assembly. Wonderful. So now when this calls this, let's say that we do factor these out into test core. Now, if someone calls get resource string, this calls get resource stream, and it's going to use the calling assembly of get resource string, which is test core, which doesn't have the embedded resources. So this would need to actually go here as well. And now up here, yes, we can avoid this. Wonderful. However, if we want to do something on top of this, we have to do this again. So basically everywhere, um, I don't know. Is this terribly different from what's going on over here? So like caller argument expression, right? So this is referring to that. And so if you and I actually use this in argument null, and I think I've gotten rid of it now, but what I've had at one point is throw if null argument param name. We're actually supplied the param name because for our case, we don't want it to be called argument. We already got the name of the parameter our caller is using. So it's kind of like it'd be something. Oops, something like this. So we have we put this at the end, let's say. Ooh, what? Right, okay. Um, and so now we say if assembly equals null, um, this. And here we're going to do the same thing. So basically, anyone calling us who isn't directly using the resource, the isn't directly in the assembly that has the resource, needs to write this line. But then if we do that, it lets uh, it lets us say things like v2 dot dot get resource string like this without needing to have this method. Okay, so I just need to document this. So this is the assembly containing the resource or null if the caller caller's assembly contains the resource. And like this still works, you know? Okay, okay. I'm getting there on this. This looks decent. All right. Um, let's make sure this does run and pass. All right. There's another thing though that's mentioned in here about the inlining stuff. So if the method that calls calling something is expanded inline by the just-in-time compiler, or if its caller is expanded inline. With, sorry. So it seems like this actually doesn't work because we're in a test, but I don't want this to just be test code. That doesn't really like embedded resources are useful outside of test code. So I don't really want to just make that assumption. So I'm looking to see if there's other things to do. And so that's all the time I have for today, actually. But to do uh, call, what's it called? Calling really doesn't work for production code for a different way to get at this data. Um, so yeah, let me push this code, and that's it for today.